What if I told you anyone can tell you how to lose weight and that bariatric surgery is super easy? It's a quick magic fix. You're going to lose weight fast and furious. You won't even have to think about it. And you're guaranteed to lose at least 50 pounds and most likely over 100 pounds. What does that sound like? Surgery is just one tool. It's time to put the other tools in the toolbox because it's your body, your health, your life. And maybe that's even true, and it all happens. But at the end of the day, you're still going to be afraid of taking a risk. You might even be still afraid of food. Your relationship with food hasn't changed. You're still avoiding your feelings. You're not thinking you're good enough. You're waiting for the other shoe to fall. And you haven't really made any changes to your habits or choices. You still don't like the way you look, that all those things that came fast and furious and super easy will remain fixed. Do you think you'll still be thinking that, those old habits won't return? Do you really think you will have the stamina to sustain that long term? It takes the average person about a year to lose weight, be it if you have bariatric surgery or not. Some of us will lose a little more, some of us a little less. The thing is, the thoughts, the feelings, your mindset that you default to will still be there after losing the weight if we don't think and do things differently. Or maybe you've regained the weight and you want to get back on track. If your thinking is still the same, if it's still telling you the same messages, it will not be a different path. You will not get different results if your thinking still remains the same. You're not going to be suddenly fixed. The thoughts are not going to be instantly cleaned up once you lose the weight. You're not going to be just overnight positive and moving forward with not a care in the world. For me, in my past, even before surgery and kind of really right after surgery, I was really good at starting things. I was really good at being motivated, excited, positive, doing all the things. And then once I would get into it, something would change. My thinking would change and I would stop. And I don't mean I would stop for a day or get back on track. My thinking allowed me to stop sometimes for days, weeks, and even years. Most of us know the rules, have a program that we need to follow. We have guidelines and we just know what to do. They generally make sense to us. We prepare for them, but we struggle to do them long term. We can't be consistent with it. How do we do and think about this weight loss surgery journey consistently and for the long haul and still kind of feel good about it? How do we recognize that this stinking thinking is getting in our way and what do we do about it? In my real life as a trained life skills coach, and I also do professional development for adults, is that I help individuals kind of see the challenges, work towards overcoming them, coming up with a plan, coming up with solutions that work, not using a cookie cutter, all fits all situation, but actually developing something that works for them personally in their lives. I've worked with a lot of people as well as myself. There's kind of a pattern. The same thing comes up for many people. We kind of know what to do. We understand. We're intelligent human beings. We know what to do. And some of us do it really, really well. But then suddenly something happens and we stop. Some of that thinking for me, and I've heard it from others, is statements like this in some way. This is really hard and really strict, and I feel deprived. I need a break. This just happened, and I can't cope. They get to have that. Why do I get to feel deprived? Why am I being deprived? Why can't I have that? And what about this sentence? I've worked so hard, so I deserve this, and then fill in the blank. This kind of thinking is breaking our consistency. It's impacting our commitment to ourselves. And in the long term, it's just going to destroy any success that we are working towards. Now, specifically about our weight loss surgery journey, for many of us, we're losing weight, things are good, the momentum is there, and then all of a sudden, we stop. Why do we quit? Before we get into what we can really do about it, we kind of have to think about what's really happening here. We need to understand what is happening. The thing is you're having multiple conversations in your head all day long. You might not even be aware of it. And these conversations, these thoughts, these sentences we're telling ourselves, our inner voice, it's either feeling good to us or it's feeling bad. Regarding food, for example, these thoughts are either telling us to stop when we feel full, or maybe even a little bit before we feel full or satisfied. And then there's thoughts about, oh, let's keep going, just keep going, push a little further. Or maybe we have a food item in front of us and one thought is, oh, that'll get me closer to my goal. Or the other thought is, nope, it's not going to get closer to my goal, but what the heck? So it really is as simple as this thought, this sentence that we're telling ourselves is either going to get us closer to our goal or it's going to push us farther away. These are actual problem thoughts. Sometimes they even sound on the surface like they make sense to us. We talk ourselves into it. So think back, if you're a person that's already had the surgery, and think back to when you started your journey, kind of when you started that pre-op diet or right after surgery, or maybe you haven't had surgery yet and you are right into this kind of thinking and feeling, is you are excited, you're motivated, you're inspired. Or it's post-surgery and you're dropping the weight and you're feeling a little better, things are going good. The conversations in our head are pretty good, pretty motivated, pretty inspired. We're willing to follow the rules. We're making plans. Our thoughts are on the positive side. They're making us feel good and making decisions that are helping us to move forward. But when we're actually in it, when it gets a little tough, when it gets a little rough, when it's not a straight line, or when the novelty wears off, or sometimes when we actually have to get out of our comfort zone and take an action that we never have taken before, or maybe we're just a little fearful of it, the conversation in our head starts to suck. Excuses pop up, limiting beliefs pop up. We lean towards the negative side. The thinking starts to feel super heavy, burdensome, old feelings, old thinking starts to creep into our brain. So maybe you're forced with a food choice and you're like, oh, I wish I could have something else, but I have to have this. Or maybe you're meal planning and you're like, oh, I got to do this. It's the same boring thing every time. I don't know. No one else has to do this. Or it's a little rough. I'm a failure. Oh, I guess this is what my life is right now. I'm always going to feel bad. I'm never going to do this. I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to make the craving. Am I hungry? I'm super hungry. Oh my gosh, I need this food item. A lot of times when a really good way to recognize if you're sliding into that negative stinking thinking is when you're using absolutes, like always, never, forever. Those are just some indications that your brain is really sliding towards that side. Your old version self, your pre-surgery brain. The truth is, at the end of the day, you are not associating how you're showing up for yourself as an amazing gift of health. These conversations, these little kind of negative thinking is telling yourself that this amazing gift is boring, dreadful, not motivating, that you will always be deprived, that you don't really deserve it or deserve success, that it's not going to work for you, that you're going to fail at this anyways, it's too hard, so why even try? Or maybe that one thing that we sometimes hear ourselves or our brain telling ourselves is, this is not what I signed up for. These are called microaggressions. We have developed a lot of subtle microaggressions, definitely around food. But we also kind of let them slip into how we feel and think about our programs, our bodies, our support systems, and sometimes just life in general. It happens. We are all human. We are not having the truthful conversation about ourselves. We are allowing and even encouraging that foul thinking, that stinking thinking. Before I tell you some steps to start changing that stinking thinking, let me know in the comments below, what are your stinking kind of phrases, words, comments what is your inner voice telling you? If you're finding value in this video so far, I would love it for you to hit the like button, subscribe, do all the things. But even more importantly, if you're finding that someone out there that you feel is maybe struggling or their success on their bariatric surgery journey is just being impacted by this kind of thinking, please, please share the video. That's my whole intention, is to help people keep going and be successful in their journey. I know this sounds obvious, but first things first. You need to understand and realize and tell yourselves you are not broken, you're not a failure, and you do have what it takes to continue and succeed. Anything other than that is a straight up lie. It's a lie you're telling yourself, or a lie that someone has told you in the past and you have consciously or subconsciously believed it. And let me tell you, the diet industry loves telling you that. It literally is a combination of the things that you've been taught, you have learned over time, you've internalized from your past, and you've made it a habit, a habitual thinking when things start to get a little bit either rough and tough or even like a little boring. It's time to be your own detective. It really is. Be curious, be an observer. Think about all these mixed messages you are giving yourself, or maybe others have given you and you've kind of just put them on a record and replay in your head. Think about all these mixed messages about your body, your health, your weight, all of it. How do you think these thoughts got into your brain, and who planted the seed, or what planted the seed? Now let's get a little bit more specific regarding our weight loss surgery journey. Look at the conversation you're having in your head about that, about the surgery process, about the journey, about your relationship with food, your thoughts on weight loss in general, also about when you're following the rules, when you're following the guidelines, and then again when you're not, when you're kind of getting off plan. What are your thoughts about that? Do they tend to have a positive slant or a negative slant? Get really curious. Here's some questions to help you kind of really get to know that conversation you're having in your head about your process. What do you tell yourself when you are following a rule or a guideline set out for you? What are you telling yourself when you're meal planning? What do you tell yourself when a stressful situation pops up? What are you telling yourself when you're bored, when you're overwhelmed, when you're stressed out? Or even when you're happy, what are you telling yourself? What are you telling yourself when you're hurt or you're frustrated or you're discouraged, when you can't have a food item like everybody else in your life can have? What are you telling yourself when you step on the scale and you don't lose? What are you telling yourself when you step on the scale and maybe you have a little gain? What is that full-blown conversation if maybe you have regained the weight? What are you telling yourself? What are all the things? And then think about, how do all those thoughts, those conversations, how are they making you feel? Be really explicit, write it down. Observe those words and phrases that you are using all day long. Then ask, do these thoughts make me want to do something different? Does it make me want to change things for the better? Does it make me want to move forward? Will it make me want to do this long term? I'm guessing probably not. Ask yourself, are these things making it feel easier or harder? If it's harder, ask yourself, why are you choosing to think in a way that makes you feel like it's harder? Think about your thinking. This is typically called metacognition. So you want to think about your thinking even before you start something, before you eat that food item, before you meal plan, before you follow that rule. What are you telling yourself even before you take the action? Is it motivating? Is it exciting? Is it inspiring? Is it possible to talk about it in a way, think about it in a way that it's like a gift to yourself, a good thing that you're doing? A good thing that you're doing. Apparently, we have over 200 thoughts about food every single day. I bet for some of you, I bet you for me, I'm having way more than 200 thoughts about food and the process and my journey, way more than 200 a day. Now think about if we're having 200 or more thoughts about food and they're all negative or have a slant of that poor me, or you feel like you're being deprived or out of desperation, think about how that will impact your journey long term, short term, even long term. And will that kind of thinking make me want to continue? If you're thinking the only way I can handle life's challenges, be it that you're grieving, maybe you're feeling a little lonely, or there's something stressful that you need to get through, and the only way you can handle that is by using food to cope, either to distract your feelings, to avoid, numb your feelings, what do you think that will do for you long term? Do you think you'll stay on track? I think you know the answer. You're either going to fail or you're going to fall off the track. We have to consciously start talking differently. We have to have different conversations with ourselves. Shoot for more than just feeling average. Of course, we want to shoot for more than just feeling bad, but we deserve more than just average. Shoot for feeling and thinking good, positive thoughts. The truth is, those other thoughts, be it if you feel like you can justify it or not, how are they serving you? The honesty is in the answer. How are they serving you? How can in any way will a negative thought, a deprived thought, a desperation thought, even if we think we can justify it or not, is going to help you lose the weight long term and feel good about yourself? What about if we said, for example, oh, there's so many steps in this process. I don't know if I can do it. Why do I have to do this? Maybe we can change it by saying, even though this is a process, it is a journey. I'm getting stronger every day. I'm learning from what works and what doesn't. I'm solidifying my choice for a better life. I'm not perfect. It's all about progress. Nothing will deter me from reaching my bigger why. I may be frustrated at times, but I can learn from that. I can change. And what if I learn from my weight loss surgery journey and I can apply it to other areas in my life? Maybe I need to ask, instead of, oh, there's so many steps, I can't do this, and say, why is this step necessary? Maybe you're a person in pre-op and it's really kind of hard and you're like, why do I have to do this? This is too hard. This isn't realistic. Not a big deal if I go off plan. If I can do this now, why do I even need this surgery? Maybe instead you could say, it may be tough and rough here, but I'm even going to be stronger when my surgery date comes. Maybe there's a reason for this. It keeps me safer and my surgeon safer. Maybe this pre-op diet is one of the first challenges I can overcome. I'll be stronger and it'll help me to overcome the challenges coming up. What if you are in your journey and you're saying to yourself, I'm such a slow loser. I'm not losing weight fast enough, or I'm gaining a little bit of weight. This isn't working for me. I'm a failure. I'm broken. The surgery tool isn't working for me. I'm one of those statistics where it's not going to work. What if you looked at your journey with an open mind, with a journey of self-discovery? What can you learn about yourself physically, but also mentally and emotionally? What are some skills that you need to work on? What if you looked at your journey with common sense? What would it look like? What would it sound like? What would it feel like? Remember, the complication gets even bigger when you start layering some of those negative thinking, those thoughts, with statements such as this: I'm scared to be hungry because I overate in the past. I'm scared to feel my feelings. I don't deserve to be happy or have a better life. It didn't work in the past. Why will it work now? No one told me what to do, so I don't know what to do. No one else has to do this in my life. Why do I have to do it? The reality is we have to fix this, because if we don't, we're always going to be proving to ourselves that we are right. You will continue to manipulate your own thinking or be manipulated by others, and this will hinder from you taking action or doing the things that you know you need to do to move forward. Your relationship with food will not serve you in the long term. You will most likely succumb to self-sabotage. and you will remain in constant fear or overwhelm. You may even figure out how to lose that weight, but it'll be out of fear, and that will not be long-term. Your relationship with food, your relationship with yourself, your relationship with others, and your relationship with your body will suffer. If you really want long-term surgery success, and you don't want it to end up like all those other times before, which, like I said, the diet industry is just waiting for you to come back. The deep work, the real work, and sometimes the hardest work comes from the mental side of this journey. If you really want to move the dial long term on the physical side, you're going to have to work super hard on the mental side. We have to start losing weight from the place of caring for ourselves, loving ourselves, rather from the place where we hate ourselves, or from the place where we feel broken, or from the place we feel desperate. We have to, and it is time to quit this stinking thinking, period. I want you to succeed. I want me to succeed. I want us all to have weight loss surgery long-term success. If you're thinking about what are some of the other things that I need for weight loss surgery success, check out this video, the 10 things I needed to quit for weight loss surgery success.